Hey guys! So it was really on my mind today to do a video talking about school nursing. So school nursing is kind of one of those things that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. And those that think they know about school nursing, they just say that school nurses don't do anything. And honestly, I can understand why people would think that, especially pre-pandemic. So when I got out of, so my mom, just a fun fact, my mom was a teacher and a counselor in a school district here in Arkansas for 40 years. And while I was in nursing school, she suggested that I become a school nurse. And I was like, absolutely not. I do not want to be a school nurse. Absolutely not. And at that time, my mindset was, I just want to do hospital nursing because I just felt like being a hospital nurse, you just had all this knowledge, you knew a little bit about everything. I knew I was going to be constantly on my feet, the selfish in me, on my feet, moving, grooving. So I'd be able to, keep my weight in shape and just not be old and decrepit sitting at a desk all day. So I immediately was like, absolutely not. And I just kind of threw it by the wayside. So I worked in the hospital for about two years and 9 months in Arkansas, and then I ended up taking a travel assignment in December 2019, and it ended in March of 2020. So while I was actually, and this was before the pandemic, y'all, so I knew on that assignment that I just was like, I can't do hospital nursing anymore. It's just too much. And so I had started looking for jobs because I knew I wasn't going to renew my contract, and I knew I didn't want to look for another travel nurse position. So while I was there in California, which is where I had my assignment, I was looking online for nursing positions that weren't in the hospital. And I did come across a position for a school nurse that was just a float nurse, just a sub float nurse. So I would be in a district and I would just go to the different schools or whatever and shadow. And I had, and you know what, now that not shadow, but I would actually go into the different schools when the actual school nurse was out and work in that school. And you know what, y'all, I forgot that before I actually left to take my travel assignment, I had applied for the job. And I had actually shadowed, before I left for California in that December 2019, I actually shadowed a couple nurses and had interviewed. And so pretty much when I was going to come back for my assignment, I was going to get the job. But mind you, it was just a sub position. It was not going to be anything full time. It just was going to kind of be something that I would do while I was, while I figured out just kind of what I wanted to do full time. So, of course, though, in March, everything changed because March 2020, when my assignment ended. And so when I got back home, I was actually supposed to restart my orientation again and get into the schools and kind of finish out the school year for May, until May at least. And of course, they closed school because of the pandemic. So I was like, oh, crap. Like, I'm kind of up the creek because I don't want to go back to the hospital. All right, I told myself I didn't renew my contract. Now I'm back home. So it's like, okay, what do I do? So, of course, I got online and I started looking at all the positions. Now, of course, at that time, everybody was going to New York because that's just where it was the worst. And they were offering buku's amount of money to go. At that time, it was like $10,000 a week. And it was going to be, just all my nursing friends were sending me info. And I was looking online at the nursing groups and they were, posting all this stuff. But I just didn't feel led to go. I don't know. I think I was scared. And I just didn't feel a pull to go. So I looked at positions. I was still looking up and I was still applying. well, no, I was just looking for like that March and April. I just was like, well, maybe I just need to take a break anyway, and I'll just kind of look and browse and see if anything pops up that I'm interested in. So, but still in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is just crazy that I'm still sitting at home when there are nurses that are making $10,000 a week. I was like, I could really use that money. But again, I just did not feel pulled and led to go. And so a little bit of time passed, and I actually ended up, I don't know if you all have heard of Samaritan's Purse, but somebody, I think my mom or somebody ended up sending me some information about Samaritan's Purse. And so they're like a charitable organization that goes, and they have like a team of doctors and nurses that when there's a medical need, they'll go set up and help. And so I called them because that's what I felt led to do, because I just felt led to do something with them rather than something with the hospital, with the travel agency. So I ended up calling them, I ended up getting an interview, and they ended up actually hiring me. And this might have been around May. So the pandemic was May 2020. So the pandemic is still, in full effect. And they were like, well, we really need people to go to Italy and New York. And so they were like, if you had to have a choice, which one would you prefer to go to? And I was like, well, honestly, I don't mind going to Italy. Because if you remember, Italy was really bad. And so I was like, I don't mind going to Italy. And I was like, I would love to travel anyway. And just really pretty much wherever you need me, I'll go. So then they ended up calling me back and saying that really we need you in New York more than we need you in Italy right now. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So at that point, I just waited on a call to go, but they never called me. But I got hired. They went over like all the pay that I would get and everything. And y'all, when I say, so mind you, I said that everybody else, all the nurses that were working through travel agencies and stuff, they're making like $10,000 a week. They were gonna pay me $21 an hour, y'all, and I was gonna go because that's just where I felt led to go. So, but they ended up not calling me, not needing me. So I was like, well, shoot, by this time it's getting into May, June. The little money that I had made is kind of dwindling down. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I went back online and I started applying to. Now, mind you, I said I didn't want to go back to the hospital. But I started applying back to my old job where I worked at the hospital. I applied. And then I did get back in touch with my travel agency. And I just was like, okay, at this point, I was like, I just need something. And they found me something in North Carolina. It wasn't a bad position at all. I was going to be making really good money. I was going to have to work, I think, 4 days a week instead of my normal 3. But y'all, like, I had gotten to the point where I was about to interview. No, you know what? I don't even think they were doing interviews. I think they just needed people so bad that they were bypassing interviews. And it just was pretty much like, okay, this is when you start. You need to get down here. But it just did not seem right again, y'all. And this is another thing. When it comes to nursing, like, you have to go with your gut. And when I say go with your gut, I feel like I'm saying go with the Holy Spirit, because I'm a Christian. So that's what I feel like. The Holy Spirit just was not leading me once, even though I got the job and they were like, we need you here this day and you'll do this and then you have to do these online modules and everything. It just was something that was pulling me, that just was saying don't go. The Holy Spirit just pulling me saying don't go. And so and then it just was like everything wasn't as organic as it was with California, because when I went to do my travel assignment in California, like literally everything just was super organic. Everything, I mean, I didn't have to do pretty much anything. Everything was so fluid. But with this, once I got the job, I couldn't really find anywhere to live. I didn't know if it was so complex and complicated, and just things were not working out. So I ended up having to call them back and just be like, hey, I can't do this. Like, it's just, I'm not going to be able to take the position. So they were understanding. I know they were annoyed, but they were super understanding. And that's when I was just like, I'm just not gonna go back to the hospital. It's just not my time, you know. And if I hear from my local hospital, I'll go, but I just was like, I'm not gonna force it. So I ended up finding, and I just happened to be looking. So this was not, so everybody is familiar with Indeed, but I just happened to go on a school district website here in Arkansas and look at their job openings. And lo and behold, there were 2 openings for a new high school that they were building in my city, and they were looking for 2 nurses. So I was like, I'm gonna apply. Like, now I looked at the pay, y'all, and I was like, ooh, Lord. But at this point, I just was like, I'm gonna apply. And then I was like, you know what, if I get this job, you know, even if we shut down again, even if we have to go through this again, like, I'll still get a paycheck and I'll still have benefits. Like, everything just made sense to do it and apply for it at that time. So I applied, and of course at this time they're in and out the office, they're dealing with COVID, so they really did not get back to me really quickly. So I was like, oh shucks. I was like, you know, maybe I didn't get it because I haven't heard back from anybody. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call. I'm just gonna call and follow up and see, because, you know, at this point, I wasn't desperate, but I think more so I was just so anxious to get to work. Like, I just was ready to be working. So I called the supervisor at that time, and she was like, oh my gosh, she was like, I'm so glad you called. I was actually looking at your application, and we haven't been in the office, you know, just dealing with this COVID stuff, and we just happened to be in the office today. And so from there, everything just fell in place, y'all. Like, literally, you know, they interviewed me. I interviewed with the principal at the high school. You know, just everything literally just felt like the perfect fit. Hold on, y'all. I put some I thought this was gonna be a quick video, and I put some spinach on the stove, and this is not gonna be as quick as I thought. So hold on. Let me cut the stove off. And my mouth is dry, so I got some water. So, but now mind you, this was all in May. So I ended up getting the job, and but of course school don't start till August, so I had to wait June, July to get started. So I had to wait 2 months to get started. So I was still, you know, 2 months without a paycheck. So I was like, you know, that was frustrating. But once I got started, it ended up being a really good fit. So I really wanted this video to kind of be more so the benefits of school nursing, and maybe I will kind of talk about too some not so good benefits, and I'm going off the top of my head, so hopefully I can cover all the good things about it for those that may be considering school nursing. But obviously, the best thing about school nursing is your schedule. So I'm a 9-month employee, 9.25. So my contract is only 9.5 months. And so I get the summer off. I get Thanksgiving, a week for Thanksgiving. I get 2 weeks for Christmas break. I get a spring break, and of course your normal holidays. So that's the best part of school nursing, is that you're going to get so many breaks and just that time off. And it's really good if you have kiddos, because that's the biggest thing, is that when you have kids, you know, usually you're still working, and if they're young, somebody needs to be at home with them, and you may not have grandparents that can watch them, or, you know, someone that you trust that can watch them. So that's a really good thing, I feel like, for those that are parents. So another benefit of being a school nurse are the school benefits. So the benefits package that I have right now is probably the best that I've ever had in any job that I've ever had. So I chose the health package that it's like the lowest, because you know you have like gold, bronze, and silver. And I think, is it bronze your third place? Yeah, I think bronze is third place. So the bronze package is free. Like, you don't pay anything, y'all, for it. So my health insurance is literally $0 a month. And then I have vision insurance, and I think that's literally like $4. And then I have dental, and I have the higher plan because you can choose from like 2 dental plans, and I have the higher one. So it's like $7 or $8, y'all. So super economical. I mean, my health benefits are just dope, and I don't know anybody else that has benefits like that, which is one reason why so many people work in the schools, because your benefits are going to be amazing. Now, also another benefit, so number 3 benefit is the hours. So when I worked in the hospital, y'all, I would have to be there. My schedule was 6:30 to 7, 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. And when I worked night shift, the same thing, but just 6:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. So, but, you know, if you want to kind of get yourself together, get your bearings, kind of, you know, just be a little bit more prepared, you would get there earlier. So there would be some days I would get there at 6 a.m. And, you know, if you had a crazy patient, or if you had just had a crazy day in general, then you might have to stay longer. I mean, there were some days I would be there until 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes even 8:30, just trying to catch up on stuff, charting, hanging drips, scanning drips, things that I just didn't get to because it just was such a crazy day. And so what is supposed to be a 12.5-hour shift turns into a 14, 15-hour shift, and you may or may not have even had lunch that day, y'all. So now, though, my schedule is 8:30, which is so nice. So I don't have to actually be there until 8:30, and the kiddos leave at 3:50, but they just ask us that we stay like just a couple minutes in case something happens on the bus, somebody falls out or something. And so they ask us to stay until 4. So 8:30 to 4 is are our hours, which is really good because, you know, and even when you do get off at 7 o'clock, you know, a lot of things are still closed by that time, or you don't even have the energy or feel like doing stuff. And I know for me, a big thing was my gym. So my gym, their last class is at 6:15. So when I got off at 7, I couldn't even go to the gym and work out on those days unless I went to the early class, like 5 a.m. or 6. No, I couldn't even do 6 a.m. I'd have to do 5 a.m. And sometimes I would do the 5 a.m. class. That's when I would be like really on my health kick and really being like wanting to get it in. So those are the top 3 things, in my opinion, that I can just really think of on the top of my head of being a school nurse. Now I do kind of want to go into the cons. I like to be positive. I like to think positive, but I do just kind of want to throw this out there too for somebody that may be thinking about it. So I think one of the cons for me is, and this may be too because I don't have children, and it may be also just the way I was raised, because even though I'm a girl, I was raised to be very, and I guess it's how a lot of women are raised now, honestly, or girls. I was raised to be very independent. And my mom was a working mother. My dad worked. And so there really wasn't a lot of time to really be babied, if I will. So if I was legitimately sick, my mother, of course, would cater to me. You know, of course, take me to the doctor, make sure I got the meds I needed. Like, of course, of course. But if I had a headache, or if I had a stomach ache, or if I had a hangnail, or just something that was minute, my parents wouldn't really baby me and really wouldn't be worried about me. You know, they'd just be like, well, just go lay down. Like, if you don't feel good, just go lay down, you know. or take a Tylenol. Like, you know, it just would be, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But these kids are different. And honestly, that's one reason why I wanted to go to high school, because I thought they would be a little bit more self-sufficient. But y'all, they're just like little kids. If they have a headache, they'll come to our health room and be like, I have a headache. And I'm like, okay. Okay. We can't give y'all any medicine, because we can't give them medicine. We can't give them any Tylenol. We can't give them any ibuprofen, no medicine. So it's just like, what do you want to do? And also, let me add this to y'all. I in my whole K through 12 career, I went to the school nurse once. And do you know why I went to the school nurse? I went to the school nurse because I threw up. I legitimately threw up. And y'all know what she did to me when I threw up? She sent me back to class. She sent me back to class, y'all. So between that school nurse, and I was in elementary at this time, and I legitimately threw, like, I didn't make myself throw up, because, you know, now kids are so manipulative that they'll make themselves throw up just so they can go home. I didn't make myself throw up. I actually threw up. Now, I think it was because of what I ate, but that woman sent me back to class. So in my mind, I'm like, well, shoot, if I can't go home for throwing up, then what? It's no point in ever coming back here. And I didn't. I never came back there. I never went back to the nurse. And I was the type, though, too, even though my mama was kind of independent, a part of being independent was take some ibuprofen with you. Like, keep some Tylenol in your backpack. You know, make sure you eat. Make sure, you know, I feel like I was super responsible. But again, these kids, I don't know what it is, but they're just different. They're not built that way. And so they'll come down for a headache, and I'm just like, well, what do you want us to do? The only thing that we can do is give you a bottle of water and send you on your way, or call your parent. And for me, the way I was raised, I don't call my mama about something like a headache. That's grounds for getting a whooping when you get home, even in high school, or getting a good talking to, because my mama and my daddy didn't cuss. So I wasn't getting cussed out, but I would get threatened and you know, don't call me on my job because you have a headache. Like, I go to work every day with a headache probably. So, but they will say, yeah, call my parent. So I'm thinking the parents going to be like how my parents are, outraged that you're bothering me about my child having a headache. And they'll be like, oh, I'm on my way right now to come get them. And I'm like, this is the problem, y'all. This is the problem. They're getting babied. And a lot of it is, and so headache, they'll come down with headache, stomach ache, just little things that really don't matter, y'all. And that can wear you down. And I know it sounds so stupid, but over time that wears you down, especially when they are older, because you're just like, y'all are about to be adults. Y'all are about to, and a lot of them already have jobs. Like, a lot of them are working. They are efficient at work, you know, and even if they don't come to school, they will go to work, y'all. And so I'm just like, y'all have got to grow up. And even just when it comes to feminine hygiene products, they won't carry those on them, y'all. And I know a lot of it, some of it may be from a monetary standpoint, but some of it is just, they just don't think about it, because a lot of them will come in with their nails and their hair done and nice clothes, but they won't have a feminine hygiene product. So I think it's just, not just being responsible and just kind of just not being taught. And it's the girls, it's the boys, it's all of them, y'all. And so that can, like I said, that can wear you down. So that's my number one. My second one is the pay. So school nurses, we really do not get paid a lot of money. And a lot of that is, though, because you only work 9 months out the year. But still, it's really, the pay is, if you're coming out the hospital, you're going to take a pay cut. So when I was working in the hospital, I told y'all what I was working how much I made when I was travel nursing. So I was making like $2,000 a week. When I got, and just being transparent about how much I make now. So when I was hired, my pay was going to be $36,000 a year. But I have a master's degree, so I got like a $2,000 stipend. So my starting salary was $38,000. Now, mind you, I was making $2,000 a week when I did my travel nurse position. And when I was in the hospital, I think the highest amount I made was almost $65,000. And now I was working 2 jobs. I was working PRN at one place and I was working night shift. So that kind of bumped my income up. But I think I made like $62,000 that year that I did that. Maybe closer to 60. It was probably close. Ended up being closer to 65. So I went from $65,000 to $2,000 a week. So I got a pay increase. And then I went down to $38,000. So income pretty much slashed in half. And I'm not married yet. So it's just my income. But that's what I was willing to put up with or make work, because I just didn't want to go back to the hospital, y'all. It was too much. And God really provided a way, because COVID ended up, of course, still being an issue throughout that school year. And so I was able to do like overtime with COVID. And then at that time, I also still worked in the hospital. Like I would go once a month and do PRN at the hospital. And I was making 35, either 35 or 38 an hour. So that helped to bump me up. So, but just know that if you are interested in school nursing, you are going to take a huge pay cut. And then also but there are some options for you to make more money, because you can either take a PRN job and work somewhere on the weekends, and then there's also the option of summer school, which they always want people to work summer school. And last summer 2020, I'm not gonna say they begged me to work, but they did kind of beg me to work, because they needed somebody to do contact tracing. And, people just get antsy about, somebody falling out and, just kind of having medical issues. And they actually, last summer, they ended up, because usually nurses only get paid like $25 an hour to do summer school. But this summer, they paid everybody $40 an hour to do summer school. And that's because they had that money from the government. So I ended up working the summer and I made $40 an hour. So that bumped me up income wise as well. So there are definitely options for you to make more money, especially in the middle of a pandemic. And so that's number 2, the pay. Number 3 is going to be, it almost left me. But number 3 is going to be, Monday through Friday, especially if you came from a hospital where you could work it to where you could maybe do like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then be off for 7 days and do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you got that 7-day stretch. And to me, just in general, working 3 days a week is so much better. Even sometimes, even though it is 12 hours, it just does something to you only working 3 days a week. And I remember, and I probably said this in another video, y'all, so I apologize if I'm telling the same stories. But I remember when I was getting ready to leave to go to another job, this is when I thought I was going to be working for a doctor. And it was going to be Monday through Friday. And so I remember before I was getting ready to leave, I ended up not taking the job. But before I was getting ready to leave, because I think I'd given my 2 weeks notice or something, it was one nurse, and she was like, Kim, hey Kim girl, if you ever watch my videos, she was like, you want to work Monday through Friday? I was like, Kim, I've worked Monday through Friday before I became a nurse. I worked Monday through Friday. Yeah, and to get out of here, absolutely. I'll take anything at this point. Shoot, the way these working conditions. And I was kind of offended about it because I just was like, that's all you got to say to me? Like, that's what you got to say to me is that? But child, once I got in working Monday through Friday, I was like, oh, this is what she was talking about. This is what she meant. I'm like, Lord, ooh, I don't know about this Monday through Friday. And you know what, y'all? I probably wouldn't even thought twice about it had I not been able to work 3 days a week. But it's like once you get a taste of working 3 days a week, ooh, you don't want to go back to working Monday through Friday. So for me, now for the normal person, Monday through Friday is not difficult. It's not hard. But for me, coming from working Monday, just 3 days a week and going to a 5 day a week, it's harder, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But I would prefer 3 days a week as anybody else would, even though they are 12-hour shifts. But overall, I think that school nursing has been a great fit for me. I have really enjoyed, for the most part, working with our students. We have about 2,100 students right now, and it's just really unique to be able to be in a high school again and to work with them and talk with them and try to mentor them. You know, it's some of them that have reached out and they want to be nurses. So you just have that unique opportunity to really try to talk to them and help them and make sure that they're doing what they need to do to stay on track. Also, just kind of the area that I work in, it's mostly African American, so it's so fun to kind of be an example, because I never saw a Black nurse, you know, when I was in school. Most of my nurses were older and Caucasian, so I think it is so dope that, and the other nurse, she's Black too, so I think it's super dope to be able to see yourself, to see somebody that looks like you in your school, and even in a profession that you want to be in, because you may not always see that, especially even going in clinics. You know, I feel like when I went to clinics and would get shots and different things, they would be older Caucasian women. So I think that's super dope. And also the strange thing about it too is it's really helped me with my first responder skills, because you're gonna develop some new skills being a school nurse. You're gonna lose a lot of skills and you're gonna develop some skills, because obviously now if you threw me in a hospital, I don't know how to do a swan now, I won't be the best at putting in a Foley and putting in the IV and doing all those things, just because I haven't done it in so long, and if you don't use it, you lose it. But you know, obviously we do get a lot of emergency calls, and so where somebody might have fallen out, somebody, you know, and it's with the employees as well. And so in a hospital, you've got everything you need. You've got doctors, you've got other nurses, you've got equipment, you know, you've just got everything you need in order to be successful. But when you're in a high school, your equipment is you, epi, and albuterol, because that's the main things you see is somebody that's maybe having an allergic reaction, so they may need some epi, and then asthma attacks are really common, so they may need albuterol inhaler. But I mean, those are your weapons: epi, albuterol, a blood pressure cuff, a pulse ox, and your phone to call 911, and your hands to do CPR if you need to, and a phone to call 911 are your tools. So that was probably like the biggest adjustment, that in the midst of an emergency, because when you're in the midst of an emergency at the hospital, you've got other well-trained nurses, you've got at least 9 or 10, well, maybe depending on if you're not short-staffed that day. You got 9 or 10 other nurses. We're going to get the doctor on the phone immediately to get down to the unit, because he or she's in the hospital. And you've got literally all your equipment. We got lazy, y'all. We had a machine that actually did the compressions for you. So we're putting the machine on you. We're hooking you up to the defibrillator. Like literally we have everything we need there. But when you're in a high school, or really just when you're outside of a setting that's a hospital, I mean, you're just pretty much helpless, and you can only do your best to stabilize the patient and wait on real help to get there. So that's been definitely unique, and thankfully I have a great partner that is so good at first response and doing things. The nurse that I initially worked at was really good with it, and the nurse I have now is super good at it too. So that's been a blessing, because I'm not used to doing first responder stuff. I'm used to, having everything I need in the hospital. So you're gonna pick up a lot of skills, and you're gonna lose a lot of skills. But that's just life in general. But overall, if you like kids, if you like to help, if you are patient, if you are kind, if you just kind of need that flexibility to be off on holidays, and and that was my thing too. I was like, I want to be home with my family, because I always had to work. Being a baby nurse, I always had to work holidays. So if you want that flexibility, and if you can afford to take a pay cut, then I would definitely recommend school nursing. I gave some cons, but there's so many benefits to it that I can't probably even think about right now, and that I can't even name. But the smile that came on my face when I talked about those kids, and how they really do look up to us, and they really do need compassionate school nurses, and they need school nurses too that are going to hold them accountable, because we stay on them, y'all. We stay on them about being responsible, because a lot of the foolishness that they come in there with, the headaches, the stomach aches, is because they don't eat. It's because they don't eat. They don't stay hydrated. So it's also the opportunity to educate them and teach them on what they need to do. And also, we have quite a bit of diabetics at our school, so we're able to educate them and help them to get a hold of their diabetes, because some of them, y'all, they're just so non-compliant, and it's like, okay, do you want to be walking around with one leg? Well, you need to do right. So lots of opportunities to teach. Okay, I'm gonna add one more thing to this the bad list, and then I'm gonna end this video, because we're at 37 minutes, y'all. Whew, thank you. If you stick to the end, thank you, appreciate you. Sorry, I'm super long-winded. When you're in the hospital, I'm dealing with you as the patient. I'm just dealing with you. I may have to talk to your family, but overall, I'm just dealing with you. When you're in the schools, you're dealing with their parents. You're dealing with the kid, and you're dealing with their parents. So that can be very challenging, especially if the parent is not very understanding. And that's kind of been the trend with this COVID thing, because some parents don't agree with the quarantine rules, and some parents can just be hard to deal with, y'all. Patients can be hard to deal with as well, but sometimes the parents can be difficult too. So that's probably a con as well, but it's a part of it too. You're always going to deal with difficult people, so that I would say that can be another con, is dealing with the parents, and dealing with the students too, because sometimes they can be mean, and sometimes they can be grouchy and don't want to listen. But overall, very fulfilling career as a school nurse. Very the benefits, the health benefits, and I did forget to mention the retirement benefits. We have the best retirement in the state of Arkansas. And you have to be an assistant for 5 years in order to be vested. But after that, you're vested and you're good. So many benefits that I haven't even thought about. But if you're interested in school nursing, if it's something that's kind of pulling on you, I would say do it. And you can always, just give it a year and see what you think about it. And just kind of go with the age that you think you would be the most patient with. I think if I worked in an elementary, I wouldn't do well, just because, and I think a lot of that too is just the way I was raised. I was raised to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more independent. So, and they're going to be a little bit more whiny in the elementary, and probably too in the middle school setting. So that's why I feel like high school is the best for me, even though they are a little whiny and my little babies. but you know, they are just a little bit more self-sufficient, and it comes with its own problems, because now I got to deal with attitudes. So so I always say that I will either probably do pre-K when they're sweet and precious and don't really talk a lot, or high school. There's no in between. I don't want to ever do elementary or middle school. So if you're thinking about it, you know, just go for it and see if it's a good fit for you, but just kind of be aware of some of the pros and cons that may come with it. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all for sticking with me till the end. I know I get super long-winded, and I appreciate y'all for staying till the end, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.